Basically, we was walking to the store and she was yelling from the other side of the block, like, oh, I see you.
And then I said, oh, I see you over there. Then they started walking like this. They out, running. Go.
I never called you.
You didn't call me?
No, I blocked your number.
You called me
You
from
kept
a
calling.
text-free number. Let's be real, because your
never
phone
called
was
you.
off.
I never called.
You are not the father.
Mr. Washington, in his signature dramatic style, dismisses his brief romantic rendezvous with Miss Steinhardt as nothing more than a two-night stand gone too far.
I think Miss Steinhardt is trying to pin a child on you.
Because we had a little thing going on a couple months ago. Because me and my fiance got into a little argument.
Well, the real reason is because she just wants my family. She wants
Nobody
to be
wants
me.
your family.
First of all,
nobody wants your
let me let you
family.
know
Nobody
something.
wants this man.
Doesn't this sound like the perfect modern-day love story? The plaintiff and defendant seem to have hit the gas on their relationship, jumping into things just a week after meeting at a friend's house.
Basically, we was walking to the store and she was yelling from the other side of the block, like, oh, I see you.
And then I said, oh, I see you over there. Then they started walking like this. They out, running, ghosts.
You need to stay behind.
Sorry, but they was out. They was ghosts. Nowhere to be found. Ghosts.
Miss Steinhardt, however, isn't one to shy away from bold claims. She insists the fling lasted 8 months. Given Mr. Washington's history of sneaky behavior, one can't help but raise an eyebrow.
Y'all taking little pictures together?
Right, on the
I have
bus.
Wasn't
way
in a
more than
relationship,
that.
That looks like you are all booed up. So if your boyfriend was cheating, why would he be taking a whole bunch of pictures?
That's why he takes a lot of pictures. I see a lot of pictures out
He
there.
posted it on his page.
It's a puzzling scenario. With countless photos circulating, you'd think Mr. Washington's fiancée might reconsider her unwavering support. But alas, Mr. Washington's testimony takes center stage as he confidently declares he's never really been in a real relationship with anyone.
He called me and he was like, I think you need to take a pregnancy test.
I never called you. You try to contact us all the time. I never called you.
You didn't call me?
No, I blocked your
You called
number.
me
You
from
kept
a
calling me.
text-free number. Let's
never
be
called
real,
you.
because
I
your
never
phone
called
was
you.
off.
I never called you.
He asked me to take a pregnancy test, and I went down to the hospital and I took a pregnancy test and it came back positive, and I let him know.
While Mr. Washington admits to a fling with Miss Steinhardt, they can't seem to agree on how long it lasted. He claims it was 2 or 3 months, certainly not 8. And then there's the debate about protection during their encounters.
He was hanging out in the neighborhood and he told him, this girl is pregnant with my child.
No,
Nobody
never told
tell
that.
Christina.
I never told nobody that. You the one who went around telling everybody that you was pregnant by me.
Because not once have I ever heard that came out from his mouth and from his friend telling me that he said anything like that in that nature.
Because he
listen.
doesn't want to tell you
But why would
anything
the
because
friends lie
he's
for
scared
it?
of you.
Those-
Just when you think the story couldn't get any more tangled, in walks another man, conveniently introduced by the defendant as a family member.
Why would another man be holding your baby unless it could potentially be his?
Exactly. Why you letting him kiss up all over her? If it's
Nobody
another
was
man's
kissing her.
baby,
That's a
you ain't gonna
family
let another
member.
do that to another man's child.
We're not blood related, but he's like family to me and my family.
If you go down her timeline on Facebook, you see her sitting in his lap. Do family members do that?
With all this drama, it was clear the situation needed a professional touch to unravel the paternity mystery. Enter Judge Lake with her signature flair for theatrics, ready to reveal the truth sealed in those DNA results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Washington, you are not the father.
Thank you. Now have a great day with your life.
He is not her biological
He's the
father.
only person I
I'm
was
not the
with.
father.
But what I do know from this DNA report is that Mr. Washington wasn't there.
Meet Miss Points, who has dragged her ex-boyfriend to court with a jaw-dropping claim he's the father of her 29-year-old daughter. Years ago, he denied the possibility outright, but here they are.
Your Honor, because I'm here to regain a relationship with my daughter. I don't hear from her. She don't call. I don't see her. I haven't seen her over a couple months now. It's heartbreaking.
And you admit you caused this drama by telling the defendant out of your own mouth that he was not the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Enter Mr. Roman, who's turned into quite the paternity detective. His reasoning for denying fatherhood, the baby's curly hair at birth.
In high school together, we started going together and we had like a little ritual. You know, every day I get out of school, I would go home and my mom, she'd be at work and here come Miss Points every day. She'd come over and Marcellus knock on the door and I look out the window and she, yeah, right. All right.
But wait, the plot thickens. Mr. Roman was very much present at the baby's birth, even giving the newborn a symbolic nod of acceptance. However, when it came time to sign the birth certificate, he conveniently forgot.
2 years into it, she told me that somebody else was the father, and I wasn't even trying to hear it. I'm like, I done been daddy 2 years. Then I'm like, she's going on my income taxes. I know that. That wasn't no problem, you did.
Don't try to tell me now this is not my child, it's my child.
Yes.
Big Mama herself admitted to saying things in the heat of the moment years ago without realizing the long-term impact it would have on her daughter.
So I was confused, angry, mad at my mom because my brother and my sister have a father and I have other kids too. And I want my kids to have a granddaddy. So I was angry and stuff at my mama.
So then once that bell was rung in your mind, did you confront your mother? Did you begin to ask questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
As for Miss Points, it seems like anger management might be in her future. Let's not turn a disagreement into a full-on wrestling match, shall we?
And so clearly you were intimate with this man as well.
Yes, Your Honor. But I was more intimate with Mr. Marcellus than the other guy.
Right, but we know that it just takes one.
I know, you're right.
Did you ever tell this man, I'm pregnant, tell him that he could potentially be Sherelle's biological father?
I told him to. Yes, I
Judge Lake, ever the courtroom detective, wasn't about to let this case slide without answers. When Miss Points claimed there was no birth certificate as evidence, the judge had a surprise up her sleeve, or rather, a robe.
So when Mr. Rowan left, the other man came up to the
Yes,
hospital
Your Honor.
and then signed the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why did he sign the birth certificate? He believed he was the father?
Yes, he did.
And Mr. Rowan's been taking care of Sherelle.
Yes, Your Honor.
Come on, let the truth
Yes,
come out
yes,
now.
Your
We here now, we here.
The moment we've all been waiting for, the DNA results are stepping into the spotlight. Buckle up. This is going to be good.
Mr. Rowan, you are not the father.
He been in my
Well, that's on paper. Like I say, ain't nothing gonna change. Come here, baby. Come here. Come over here. Can she come be step
Yes,
with
you
her
can.
daddy?
You want to
Come on.
stand with your daddy?
Miss Powell has filed a petition in paternity court seeking to establish that Mr. Tarver is the biological father of her 19-month-old son, Josa. She claims that Mr. Tarver has failed to provide financial support for the child, while he argues that he has been somewhat involved in their lives.
He's done nothing for this little boy.
No, Your Honor, he ain't did nothing. He ain't bought him a diaper. He ain't bought him a shoe. He ain't bought him a shirt. He don't do anything for my son.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm dead serious. He don't do anything for him. He call him once in a while. That's it.
Once in
That's
a while.
not.
I don't call him every day. I don't see him at least 3-4 times a week.
That's not being a father.
I don't call him every day.
No, you don't.
The controversy deepened over their accounts of a specific night. Mr. Tarver questioned why it took Miss Powell 3 hours to arrive from just 5 blocks away, especially since she showed up with 3 men. Miss Powell countered by pointing out that another woman was present when she arrived.
Mr. Tarver
5 blocks
was,
away, it took you 3 hours to pull up with 3 dudes in the car?
Mr. Tarver was when I got there.
5 hours.
The girl was
5 blocks away,
there.
it take 3 hours to pull up with 3 dudes in the car?
There was another girl there.
Okay.
He said he wanted to go to sleep.
There was no
he
other
fell
girl there.
asleep
And did you not
on
leave
the
and go back and
couch.
lay with him?
Yeah, absolutely I left, but I
Okay
did not
then.
go leave
Okay then.
lay with another man.
All right, I need specific stories. What happened?
Ms. Powell explained that she initially told Mr. Tarver she was 2 months pregnant based on information from a Planned Parenthood urine test. However, a subsequent ultrasound a month later revealed she was only 6 weeks pregnant.
So a month later, you went for an ultrasound,
Yes.
and they told you were only 6 weeks.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did
It don't add up.
Mr. Tarver go to any of the doctor's
No,
appointments
he
with
did
you?
Honor,
not.
one-
He didn't go.
There was one.
not
Your
one
Honor,
doctor's appointment
May I
with
speak
me.
now? May I speak?
You didn't let me talk.
All right, go
Okay,
ahead.
both of you, just one at a time.
To add to the confusion, Mr. Tarver recounted an incident where they went to what Miss Powell described as her doctor's office, only to find a sign stating the office had moved 3 months earlier. Despite this, Miss Powell insisted she had been there just 2 weeks prior and had received prenatal care.
So when you read that,
then when I'm like, this not. I'm telling her at the time, this isn't a doctor. That's when she argued me. I was in there 2 weeks ago. They're not closed. I was in there.
They gave me my whole prenatal care. How was the doctor
How?
Joseph? Somebody
Come
referred
on, you
me
found
there.
an empty building.
Please, knock it off.
what do you think her motive was here?
She didn't believe I was
Look
going to
at
go
me.
to the doctor appointment.
Okay.
The accusations didn't stop there. Miss Powell alleged that Mr. Tarver discouraged her from giving their child his last name to avoid child support obligations. In contrast, Mr. Tarver accused Miss Powell of wanting him to leave quickly one day because she was speaking with her boyfriend.
Wanted this child to have your last
I named him.
Lying.
I named
He's
him.
lying.
Mr. Tarver, why would you name the child and want him to have your last name if you didn't believe you
That
were
was
the
your child.
biological
I don't
father?
like-
I'm not
Boy.
saying I don't want him to be mine. Why play this role if this not what it is?
Did you have doubts when you were naming him? And
Of course.
You did.
In a surprising twist, Mr. Tarver brought Rosie Jones, his fiancée, as a witness. Miss Jones claimed she had heard multiple individuals assert paternity over Miss Powell's child. Miss Powell fired back, stating that Miss Jones didn't know her and revealing that she had also heard unflattering things about Miss Jones from Mr. Tarver himself.
Has been determined by this court, Mr. Tarver, you are Rory's father.
Thank you.
Mr. Tarver, you have 2 children now. You don't have any more time to be a young man. You're a man.
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All of you need to continue to better yourselves for the sake of your children.
Miss Johnson is convinced that the defendant's late brother, Mr. Damon Ellerson, is the biological father of her son Damien. She claims he was her first love and gets pretty emotional when she talks about him.
My first love, I would do anything for him. We were together all the time. I know in my heart that he is his father.
What was it about him you loved?
Just his energy and his smile. I mean, he was like he didn't have a care in the world. I miss him all the time.
Damien remembers a time when he visited a man he thought was his dad. This guy who signed his birth certificate took him to the doctor for some health checks. At just 12 years old, Damien found it strange and voiced his worries to his mom.
And so, Ms. Johnson, you remember that day, and at some point, did you get the results?
Yes, and it came back that he wasn't his.
And then he just stopped talking to me. He just left me, just no dad.
So, Ms. Johnson, that's what leads you to now believe Mr. Ellerson is Damien's biological father.
Right.
Damon's mom often spoke about her strong feelings for Mr. Ellerson. Born in 1996, Damon thinks he looks like Mr. Ellerson in old photos. He met Ellerson's family once when he was around 12 or 13, and Miss Fortune's mom got some pictures from Miss Johnson of that meeting.
So, Miss Fortune, what did your mother say to you about this meeting?
She said Miss Johnson, gave her pictures and stuff, and that he might be my brother's son. So in a way, my mom believed it, kinda, but it was just too emotional. As far as me, kinda, but I don't think so.
During a dramatic moment in paternity court, it came out that Miss Johnson named her son Damon after her first love, Mr. Ellerson, who was murdered. They were together until he vanished.
Miss Johnson, not only that, you slept with 2 of my cousins.
I slept with 1.
2.
1.
2.
Oh, so are you testifying that you believe your cousin, not your brother, could be Damien's biological father?
Yes.
Miss Johnson, you did sleep with Mr. Ellerson's cousin?
Yes, I did.
Miss Johnson also confessed to having unprotected sex with another man who was close to her late boyfriend, Mr. Ellerson.
Mr. Henley, you are not the father. These results pertain to the deceased Damien Ellerson. The percentage of relatedness is 0.00%. You are not related.
Mr. White thinks that his ex-wife, Miss Mock, unfairly had his parental rights taken away, which allowed another guy to adopt their supposed daughter. Now she's looking for a DNA test to prove he's the real dad and is asking Miss Mock for $5,000 for emotional distress.
Well, you've been lied to. Please explain to the court.
In the early 1980s, Julia and I were married, and she birthed me a son 10 months afterwards. A year later, she was pregnant with Tasha, and I ended up going to jail. She was 2 months pregnant when I went to jail. 7 months after I went to jail, she gave birth to Tasha.
He mentioned that he was in prison when Miss Mock was pregnant. After their daughter Tasha was born, she named him as the father while he was still locked up. However, she later filed for divorce and tried to cut off his parental rights.
Went to the law library, and I taught myself law, and acting as my own attorney, I fought it in court, and I won. And at that time, it was the opinion of the judge at that time that Julia, or Miss Mock, had intentionally moved with the children on at least 3 different occasions. So all the letters and the cards that I had sent over the course of time to their grandparents' place never got to them.
During their marriage, Miss Mock had an affair. One day after coming back from grocery shopping, she found Mr. White with their son, which made the other guy leave. Even though she suspected the other man might be Tasha's biological dad.
You were married to Mr. White. You put his name on the birth certificate.
Yes, because the other gentleman walked out of my life too.
Who did you actually think was your father?
I believed my adopted father was my father until I heard my grandmother on the phone, and she stated that there was another gentleman.
Tasha found out Mr. White's last name on her birth certificate while rummaging through a trunk with her mom. When she asked about it, her mom didn't deny that Mr. White was her father, but insisted that Tasha was a mom.
How could she be adopted if you hadn't relinquished your right?
That's one of my biggest arguments, Your Honor. Illegally allowed Tasha to be adopted. adopted. These people have accosted me 30 years of being able to experience with my daughter growing up. They've denied her the right to know her natural father. This is a God-given right to everybody.
Miss Mock claims she was trying to protect her kids, hinting that she doubted Mr. White was Tasha's real dad. A judge allowed another man to adopt Tasha without Mr. White giving up his legal rights.
I had put a lot of thought into it. I was blind and I couldn't walk, so I had nothing but time to sit and think about it. And then when I had turned 28, I got my vision back, and 29, I reached out to Mr. White on Facebook.
You did?
I did.
August 23rd.
She asked him to leave, associating him with all the negative things she had heard. Later, Tasha expressed her worries about reaching out to him, fearing he might be angry.
Mr. White, you are not the father. Are you okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. White, are you all right?
Yes, Your Honor, I will be.
You say that you will help her find her biological father if she asks for that help, and I hope you live up to that.